Stories in the operating room, that is everybody's favorite. I can't tell you how many people always want to hear about stories in the OR, and we're going to talk about a bunch full throttle next. Hey Doc audience, we have a special edition of Hey Doc for you today. We're going to talk about stories from the crypt, or stories in the operating room and beyond. It is what everybody is always asking me and all of us about all the time. Oh my God, tell us some more of the stories from what happens in the operating room. So, and we've got some great people to talk about these. I'm just going to go down the road. We've got Marla, who is my operating room nurse and main circulator where I operate. So thanks for coming, Marla.
My pleasure.
And then we have Ellery, who you've seen before, but Ellery is my patient coordinator in my office. And then we also have, as usual, the renowned Dr. Rod Rourke. So when did you all first meet, you and Dr. Rourke?
So I started at Parkland in 1981, and he said he came in
87, 86,
Yeah.
86.
You were the head nurse, right?
Of
for
urology.
The urology. And then, so you must have seen some like running like urology. You must have like ridiculous stories.
Well, this story, I mean, it was a foreign body in the rectum, okay? And the thing that makes it, to me, interesting is that there were a lot of us there and a lot of doctors and a lot of the residents, and it was it wasn't a round bottle, it was kind of a triangular bottle, and we all noticed that, and when they put him up in stirrups, and
What was that on the x-ray?
no, when they put him up in the stirrups, you could see the
Oh,
end
the
of the
triangle.
bottle.
Oh.
Okay, and so it was a 72-year-old guy. He said his prostate hurt. He was using it to massage it. That was his story. They put him to sleep. We put him in stirrups. They had several doctors there working from trying to get it below. They couldn't get it. They did a laparotomy. They tried to go that way, and it went on for quite a while, and there were several of us out in the hall waiting to see what it was. When they finally got it out, it was a Knott's Boysenberry syrup bottle. As soon as the bottle came out and they held it up and we all saw it, he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's my favorite flavor."
Stop it!
God.
Stop it!
He didn't take a swig.
Boysenberry.
He didn't take a swig, did he?
The bottle was empty. I remember that. The bottle was empty. But
Boysenberry, that's my favorite
oh my
flavor.
God. And years later, when I ran into this famous doctor, and I'm talking at least 10 years later, and I said hi to him, I said, "Do you know what I'm going to always remember about you, doctor?" And he goes, "The Knott's Boysenberry syrup."
The story is always the same. Somehow somebody fell and some object miraculously like went in the wrong place, you know?
Right, I
And
know.
How about Ellery? So in terms of,
Crazy
have
person.
you
I
heard,
was
like,
trying to think.
how about some other urban legends that you've heard?
I think the most interesting thing that comes up the most is when people talk about the recovery that a friend of theirs had. Like I had a patient not too long ago say that her best friend had a breast augmentation like 6 years ago, and she dead serious told me that she had drains for 2 weeks with a breast augmentation. And I actually couldn't wrap my brain around that because I feel like
This is recent.
This is recently, this patient told me that. But I hear that all the time, that people are in disbelief and they'll be like, my friend had a breast augmentation. She was bedridden for weeks. She had drains, and I can't process having drains with a breast augmentation. It doesn't make sense. So I think the most wild thing is just hearing other patients experience what they've been exposed to. I also can't believe that it's 2024 and we still have patients going to a shady place to have surgery for cheap. That still is a thing, which blows my mind.
The other thing we
I
could
don't
talk
think a
about-
Hey Doc goes by that we don't talk about something
I mean-
related to that, or somebody doing something, it's like, well, I did my research, but I decided to go to a person that was doing these injections in a tool shed.
Right. With industrial silicone.
I
Yeah.
mean, I recently saw a patient that she had 6 previous rhinoplasties, and it started with a bad dog bite. And so she'd been turned down by multiple rhinoplasty surgeons because, she had a lot of problems. So we straightened the inside of her nose, we dermabrated the outside, we fixed the septum, we had to put rib grafts in and everything. And so Letty, my nurse, takes her off her splint, and I was coming out of the OR, and then we heard her like crying like crazy, crying because she just showed her the mirror, and so I walked in there, and and so it you know, you're talking about heart-wrenching. It was really moving because, you know, in plastic surgery, you know, she said for the first time that she can actually look at herself and feel like herself, and she can breathe. And so it was kind of a, you know, those are all the things that make you glad to be a physician first and a plastic surgeon, you know, and I think that's good. But those are stories that people don't, you know, hear every day about, you know, people in plastic surgery and patients.
I can tell you one story that is memorable to me forever was when my niece, who's 25, this is a great story.
It's heartfelt. This is a
yeah,
good one.
because since she was 17 years old, she's like 5'1", and she wore like an H. Okay, she was huge. So she started coming to me, and she's like, Aunt Marla, she goes, I've got to find somebody. She goes, I just can't stand it anymore, and I'm miserable. My back hurts. The whole thing, and she was just miserable. And I was like, well, I said, the only doctor I'm going to recommend is Dr. Adams. He's like the best in the world, you know. So you want to get it done? She goes, you know what, Aunt Marla? I got an inheritance from my grandmother. I am going to go to Dr. Adams. Okay, she goes to Dr. Adams. All I can hear about is her yakking about how she loves everybody in the office. Everybody's her new best friend, Ellery and Kirby and everybody. And I wasn't sure if I was going to actually get to be her nurse, but as things worked out, I was. And it was one of the most incredible, life-changing experiences for her that I got to be a part of, because a lot of times, you know, when we're in the OR, we don't hardly ever, unless they come back maybe for another procedure in a year, but we rarely see the outcome.
Yeah.
We rarely see, you know, how they're doing in 2 months, 6 months, a year. And it was so awesome because I was with her beforehand and I was with her during, and I probably said no less than 30 times during the surgery, oh my God, she's gonna be so happy. Oh my God, she's gonna look so good. Oh my God. And, you know, he's joking around. Well, we decided we'll do a good job today because it's your niece, you know, and oh my God. 2 years later, even 2 years later, it was 2 years in July. And she's like, Aunt Ma, you got to see it. She goes, I can't even see a scar. Do you see a scar? I can't even see a scar. And she's like, it changed her whole personality. She got a confidence that I didn't know that she even had within her, that she said, you know what, I hate my job. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to find another job. And she got a job at Michael's that she loves.
Good for her.
And it was just this whole experience that I got to be a part of beforehand, during, and after, and to help, you know, with her recovery. And her recovery was like nothing. And it was just, it was to me one of the most amazing experiences in my career as a nurse.
Oh, I love that.
But I just want to clarify, like, you don't have to have an inheritance to come see me, or it's fine.
Yeah.
Like that's like when you say it's like I only see people that have an inheritance. But
That's a good one.
yeah, it's a great story. And you know, actually, we all see this, but like Ellery sees this a lot too. Like really, a lot of the stuff that we do has profound positive effects on people's lives. It's like it's way more, like, especially the people that don't understand are the people that like, oh my God, plastic surgery, I never would do this or never do that or whatever. But you know, we completely change people's lives in so many positive ways, and that's why it's so great being a plastic surgeon and being involved. Like we're all delivering care,
Right.
Because we see it like every day, right?
Right.
You see it in our patients, and you see it in Rod. You see it. Obviously, we're biased. We're plastic surgeons, and we work in plastic surgery and very connected to it. But it is a big, life-changing effect on people's lives.
Incredible.